Udhupatarithayate madhuksharanti sindhavaham madve ena santoshadhe madhunaktam utoshasi madhumatparthibhagum rajaham madhudaurastu napita madhumanno vanaspatir madhumagum astu suryaham madhvirgabo bhavantu nah. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihim. May the winds blow sweetly, may the rivers flow sweetly, may days and nights be sweet to us, may the trees and plants be sweet to us, may the dust of the earth be sweet to us, may the sun shine on us sweetly, may all beings be happy, may all beings be peaceful, may all beings be blissful. Oh, peace, peace, peace be unto all. Friends, I am really happy today that Swami Sridharananda ji has come to us, and he will speak on the universality of Vedanta. The Swami is the head of the Sydney and Melbourne centers of Australia. He went to Australia in 2000 and he started these centers doing pioneering work there. I knew Swami from 1960s. We are very, though we never lived together, but we are very close. When he first joined the monastery, he was an attendant of Swami Virajananda, his guru, who was a disciple of Holy Mother and a monastic disciple of Swami Vivekananda. He was the president of the order, died in 1951. Swami is a great builder. Before he went to Australia, he was the head of the Ramakrishna Order mission in Lucknow, who is the capital of United Province, Uttar Pradesh, we call it. He is responsible to build one of the biggest polyclinics in Asia, Vivekananda Polyclinic. Floor, wall, everything marble. Huge. I remember I was there in 1970 during the dedication ceremony. Then he built a temple of Ramakrishna in Lucknow. It is really worth seeing if you see the architecture and the construction of that temple. Swami is very kind enough in 1990 when I wanted to go to Gangotri. Our secretary and George and Bob and all, we went. Swami gave a Mercedes van. We went to see Gangotri, the source of the Ganges, the interior part of the Himalayas. So last September I went to Australia for a week. So 1 week I stayed with him, 4 days in Sydney, 3 days in Melbourne. Swami is a wonderful host. Anyhow, he is my very dear elder brother, and I am very happy that he is here today. He is a wonderful speaker, a great learned man. Anyhow, I don't want to speak too much time about him. So Swami will speak the universality of Vedanta in the perspective of Sri Ramakrishna. Thank you. Maharaj, please come.
Dear lovers admirers and followers of Vedanta. That's the best way I think I can address you and come close to your hearts. So am I, dear. And that's what I've been trying to inculcate in me for the last 60 years. Now, for today's subject, Swamiji has chosen a very challenging one, Universality of Vedanta. Now we know Vedanta is a philosophy. It has a background of evolution of thought processes that we find in the Vedic literature. And you all know that the Vedic literature, if we look into it carefully in a scholastic manner, we will find that group of people who lived in Aryavarta, a piece of land bordering today's Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. Land was dominated by a group of people who called themselves Aryans, Aryas, and their land was known as Aryavarta. Books left behind from that time, to start with, it was recited by the teachers, retained by the students, and it traveled from generation to generation by word of mouth. Till such time, we could print them out on palm leaves, on birch barks, and that is how that wisdom transformed itself from oral recitation into writing. And the remnants of that mass of literature is still available today. If we look at that literature with a little, I would say, introspection, an attitude of a research scholar, we will find it starts from a group of people being sharp observers of natural phenomena. They saw the sun rise, the sun sets, following a pattern. They saw moon rises, moon sets. In the process, it waxes and wanes. And they saw the stars in the skies. With all this observation, it is but natural that human intelligence will start asking why and how. Natural. So we find, I'll not take much of your time because we have enough to cover. So we find that group of observers of natural phenomena slowly and slowly converting into admirers of nature. Observation leads to admiration, appreciation, adoration. And then we find they understood that the vagaries of nature may be cause of extinction, and the bounties of nature is the cause of their excellence. Therefore, we find in the Vedic literature that when the natural forces at play in external nature was propitious to us, were kind to us, benign to us, we survived and we thrived. And when those natural phenomena takes such a form and shape, we are almost on the point of being extinguished. So, it put them to thinking that if we have to survive, we must see to it that we do not disturb the balance and the rhythm and the rhyme that they found in nature. These statements, dear, is only to make you understand how observers, sharp, questioning observers of phenomena that happens in nature, through their eternal quest of knowledge, slowly and slowly graduated into worshippers of natural phenomena, because they knew if we can keep them in humor, the forces of nature in humor, it will be to our advantage. Therefore, let us not do anything that will disturb the balance that we find in nature. Today's ecology has come from the care of those days that we should not disturb by our acts and deeds, as well as in the plane of morals and ethics by our thoughts. We should not disturb the rhyme, the rhythm, the balance that we find in nature external to us. All these ideas emanate from the Vedic literature which is available to us today. Slowly and slowly, the observers of nature external to them came into this level or area of understanding. They became admirers, appreciators, adorers, ultimately worshippers of natural phenomena. Why? Because they knew their existence or their prosperity or their extinction depends upon those forces of nature. As human, if I know you have an authority to hurt me, I will always try to keep you in good humor. It's human. The same psychology, the same thinking was projected by that human society, the aliens, to the forces of nature. We have grown our corn by the sweat of our brow. Before we eat it, let us offer to those forces in nature because of whom we have been able to collect this harvest. An expression of gratitude, an expression of appreciation of their compassion on us. So, though it takes a few minutes to explain to you, it took ages in those days to graduate from natural observers of natural phenomena to worshippers of natural forces external to itself. So, observers of natural phenomena graduates into worshippers of various forces at play in nature, because of which either we survive or we get extinct. This is what we find out by following and scrutinizing the study of the ancient part of Vedic literature. And at that point of time, we also find that those thinkers, whom we call the rishis, the realized souls, they started their journey as observers of nature and ended up where we will lead to. Let us hold our patience for a while. They are growing. Then they found that not only forces of nature are at play in the external world. forces of nature are play within the human being, in the human personality. So they categorized the pursuit of knowledge, trying to understand and trying to explain why and how our situation, they crystallized two distinct branches of pursuit of knowledge. And they named it as Aparavidya and Paravidya. Apara means not so sublime. It does not mean it is dispensable. It does not mean it is neglected, to be neglected. It means na-para is the forces in outside nature working in symphony, in harmony, guided by as if a supreme intelligence and a supreme power, so that everything is balanced, and those forces of nature must be understood, must be studied, must be cultivated, and ultimately must be manipulated in such a manner that the quality of life improves and life becomes much more comfortable, much more convenient, much more easily livable. So the concept of Aparavidya, which we find in the Vedic literature, encompasses today the whole gamut of research and search that the human civilization has undertaken to manipulate and develop a mastery in the forces in nature, seen and unseen, to improve the quality of life of a human in this earth. The whole gamut of search, whole gamut of knowledge that human society, through ages and ages of civilized approach, has mastered the art, material sciences in its infinite branches, study of humanities in its infinite branches, falls under that category known as Aparavidya. Not so sublime, but at the same time indispensable, because it improves the quality of life. What is Paravidya by contrast? Para means sublime, a sublime type of knowledge. What is that sublimity about? The sublimity is humans looked at themselves also. As they looked outwards, they looked inwards also. That is, they were extroverts as well as introverts. And when they looked into themselves, they identified, in my personality, in my being, I have several forces working, which is excellent, which leads me to such boundaries where I had never reached before. And what are those? The force of rationality, the power of being rational, the power of being emotional, the power known as ingenuity, and an indomitable will. So they identified these four positive aspects of a human personality: to use my capacity to reason, to use my capacity to feel, to sympathize, to empathize, to share and to care, and ingenuity. What is ingenuity, dear? Allow me to quote a wonderful short sentence from Sanskrit. Kartum akartum annatha kartum ma shaktum. I ask you as a favor, my dear, do this for me. You have the right to say yes, you have the right to say no. Nobody can infringe into that right of yours of saying yes or saying no. And then, if you say yes, I tell you, kindly do it this way. You have the freedom not to do it the way I ask you to. You can find out a way of your own, and you will do it. Kartum, you may do it. Akartum, you may not do it. Annatha kartum, you can do it in your own way without listening to me. This is human ingenuity. Humans have this freedom of doing things the way they want to do it. They may accept you, they may not accept you. They may accept you in principle, but not in details. This quality of a human being is known as human ingenuity. The rishis of the past did admit that rationality, emotionality, ingenuity, and an indomitable will, expressing in breaking the frontiers of knowledge. I must know the unknown. I must reach the unreached. I must climb which has not yet been climbed. I must see the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. An indomitable will, which is the engine of all progress that we humans have made down the centuries. These are the four positive aspects of human personality was analyzed, and they were not blind. They also analyzed and categorized few forces that are play within the human personality, which when a human yields to, make himself a lesser human. What is that? Anger, lust, anger, greed, pride, ego, and kama, krodha, lobha, moha, madhavasraja. Inordinate desire, inordinate anger, inordinate greed, confused thinking, pride, and unable to appreciate the excellence in others, jealousy, avarice. So those teachers of human society, the rishis, they totally analyzed the human personality with these four positive forces at play within me, and these so not so positive forces at play within me. That is 4 and 6, 10 forces rotating around the ego. And they said, to manage the human personality, we should learn the art of supporting these four faculties which are positive in nature, which takes you forward, which helps you to develop the qualities of head and the qualities of heart. Do it in your ingenious manner, supported by an indomitable will. And try to divert the forces that are being dissipated by being a victim of these not so good qualities of a human personality, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, madhavasraja. Lust and anger, greed and confusion, pride and jealousy or avarice. Why is it necessary? It is necessary because human is the engine of all progress. If the human personality does not develop correctly, how could the progression be correct? That was their attitude. So they said, Paravidya, the sublime knowledge, is that knowledge following which you make the quality of personality which you have a better and a better quality of personality. That is, qualitative improvement of human personality to make a human being a better specimen of a human being is a branch of knowledge which we can overlook at our own peril. So two streams develop side by side. That branch of knowledge which improves the quality of your life, and the other branch of knowledge which improves the quality of your personality. It makes you a better specimen of a human being as days pass on. And that movement within yourself, making yourself a better and a better person, is not a motion in circles, dear. It's a one-pointed motion. What is that? It helps to manifest the divinity which is already within all of us. That is, Paravidya teaches you how to make yourself a better specimen of a human being, and the journey starts from that point, ends up in manifesting the divinity already within us. So in the Vedic literature, we find research and experiencing of subjects under these two different streams developing completely with a balance. For our talk today, we will now concentrate, because how do we lead to Vedanta is our goal. So we will concentrate today, how do we manifest the potential divinity which is already within me, of which I have no knowledge whatsoever. And just because I don't have that knowledge whatsoever, I behave like a most evolved biological creature called man. So, our teachers, having started this journey, they wanted to have a holistic approach to their problems. What is that holistic approach, my dears? It's very simple. It is perennial to all thinkers under the sun, the enlightened humans, to ask this question: in reality, who I am? Who am I? Is there anything known as God? Is there anything existing who manages this whole systematic, highly programmed, thoroughly executed balance in this whole cosmos? Is there any being? If so, who he is, where he is, what is his address? And finally, what is this world? So, who am I? What is this world? And when we look at this world in a rational, analytical manner, we have to come to this conclusion: every created object has a creator. Anything that is created has a creator, which calls for intellect and power. Power and intellect is the base of creation. And in this world, we see enormous play of power. Who is it that's managing that power? These were the questions we find are being raised over and over and over again for centuries together, the whole period of Vedic literature ending up in the Upanishads. This is the subject. And before diverting much attention to what is this world, their attention was diverted to this question, who am I? Am I this body? But what is my spontaneous experience, my dear friends? My experience is spontaneous. Nobody has taught me. My body is aching. Do anyone here or anywhere outside, does he say, I body is aching? My body is aching. That is, I own something. I possess something which is known as body. That is why I say my body, my shirt, my watch, my pen, my shoes, all mine. My body is mine. I am not the body. Do you say I shoe? Do you say I body? You say my body. Your very spontaneous experience undoubtedly proves to you that you are entity separate from the body. You have an ownership on the body. You possess it. You have identified it as yours by sense of possession. I possess this body. And you say, I body, my body. But the fun of life is, there where the concept of Maya comes into the picture, the fun of life is, I say my body, I say my mind, I say my intellect, but in my day-to-day behavior pattern, I erroneously identify myself with this physio, psycho, complex, call it by any name, this body-mind khichdi. That's what I do. That's what I do. So the teachers, when they found themselves to be in such a soup, unjustifiably, irrationally, we keep on identifying ourselves with this, and we interact with the world in that manner. But when we sit quietly and analyze, I am convinced to admit I am something different than the other. Who is that I then? And they were wonderful researchers, dears. Our rishis, our ancestors were wonderful people. Nothing, no faith, no belief would stop them. A relentless march of logic without minding faiths and beliefs. Logically, I would like to identify who is this first person singular number of English grammar is. And the whole of the Taittiriya Upanishad deals with this subject. Student has heard that there is something known as absolute, abstract, that is me, that is I am. He goes to his teacher and asks him, Sir, could you give me lessons about how to experience Brahman, my true original nature, the essence of my being? Tapasya Brahma Vijigyasasam. Go, dear, go. It is not such an easy thing. Go and perform austerity. What is austerity? Don't be carried away by these words. Try to get the inner meaning of it. Austerity means you cultivate such a discipline yourself within you that your rationality does not stop till it's reached its goal. Compared to material sciences, the material scientists have come to this goal that the whole world is nothing else but manifestation of that cosmic energy. The smallest of the small particle of matter, when imploded or exploded, produces such an energy, it shakes the world to its foundation. Matter is nothing else but concentrated energy. And the scientists who moved introvertly, what do they come to the conclusion? They come to the conclusion, this appearance, that is, my name and my form and my utilitarian value in this society is what it is, materially speaking. I am the eternal spirit. That is what I means. The eternal spirit, the absolute, which cannot be fragmented, which cannot be partitioned, which cannot be compartmented. It is absolute, beyond infinity, beyond eternity. Time and space does not have any hold in it. When they came to this rational conclusion, my dears, it devolved on them to find out structured methodology, structured technique, structured procedure to educate a human how to get rid of this unwanted bondage of thinking I am a petty small human, I am not the energy absolute. So, along with this rational search, we find a methodology is slowly and slowly growing within the body of Upanishadic literature, that if you are rationally convinced by your own usage, not because the rishis say so, your usage is my body is aching, my mind is off today, my mood is off today. You say so, he didn't tell you to say so. It's your spontaneous experience. Then who is this I? This I is being slowly and slowly washed clean. I am not this gross body. I am not this subtle mind. I am not this life forces. I am not the intellect. Neither the thin wheel of joy. I am what I am. Indescribable but experienceable. This is what the quality of human personality in the process of improving itself ends up. And let us see. Christ says, I am what I am. It is not that I never was. It is not that I will never will be. I am what I am. The concept of spirit, the concept of Holy Ghost, the concept of Atman, concept of Brahman, concept of Sunyam of the Buddhas, the concept of Alakh Niranjan of the Sikhs, the concept of Jina of the Jainas, the concept of Tao, the concept of Islam, Allah, Khuda, Ruh. The thinkers, the incarnations of the divine, to establish the lost veracity and values of such research undertaken in the past, has appeared in the human scene over and over and over again to rehabilitate the lost values, the lost veracities, the lost credibilities of this branch of knowledge known as Adhyatmikata, translated into spirituality. But dears, these translations are very, very ambiguous. Adhyatmikata literally means the knowledge of my true original nature, the discipline which leads me to the knowledge of my true original nature is Adhyatmikata. Spirituality is the knowledge of the spirit. So when we speak, let us join them together and do not live in any ambiguity. Philosophy means love for knowledge, philo and sophos. Whereas darshana in India means to look at a thing with a particular perspective. I look at my life with a particular perspective. I look at the world with a particular perspective. So dears, coming back to this discussion, when our rishis arrived at this conclusion that the first person singular number I is by their own experience the nearest word by suggestion or symbolism that they could find out was Sat Swarup, ever existent, Chit Swarup, ever aware, and Ananda Swarup, ever in spiritual ecstasy or bliss. And they went another step forward. We find it in that extant literature of Upanishad. He says, you may ask me. He tells the teachers. Teachers tell the students, when I say your true nature, your original nature is the Atman, which is Sat Swarup, Chit Swarup, Ananda Swarup. Satta is the amness, Chit is the awareness of my amness, and Ananda is an ecstatic way of life. And he says, the teacher says, you ask, you are aware of your existence. All of us here, anybody under the sun would say, I am. I am aware I am. I am conscious that I exist. It's an axiomatic truth with us. You can't throw it out. You are. That's why everything is. Because of you, you are. That's why you are aware of everything. So, if that is so, that I am aware, excuse my language, dears, I am aware of my amness. If I am Sat Chit Ananda Swarup, the Satta part of it, amness, is continuous with me. I am aware I am. It's continuous with me. Where is that ecstasy and joy disappeared? If that is my true original nature, fire, light and heat cannot be separated. Where did my Ananda Swarupada disappear? I am a miserable man trotting on this earth. I am aware I am, but I am not fully aware who I am. The teachers now tell you how to experience that. That is, dear, say for instance, you do not want the heat of fire, but you want to have the luminosity of fire for your use. What do, dear? You put a mica sheet in between you and the fire. What happens? Fire does not lose its character. It emits heat and light simultaneously. Your ingenuity has brought something in between which allows light to percolate through, retains the fire behind. You say it's a filter. And my photographer friends, I do not know how many filters they dangle across their neck, used to be used at various times. Filtration. Our teachers say, dear, you have put a filtration in your awareness. That is why Satta is percolating through. Chetana is percolating through. But the Ananda Swarupata is not percolating through. Why, sir? What is the reason? He says, you don't know. You have put a filter of desire of material things in you. And because of that desire, it doesn't come out through that filter. Satta and Chetana comes out, but not the Ananda. That means we have to try and remove that filter which is holding that ecstasy behind, and as soon as you remove it, you are on your own Sat Swarup, Chit Swarup, Ananda Swarup. You may have heard of that famous medieval saint in India, Kabir Das. He used a small couplet which speaks volumes. He says, Ye chaha, chaha means desire. Ye chaha tu ati nichan ki neech. You are the meanest of the mean under the sun. Why? Why is he meanest? Chaha, desire, that's the propulsion for life. Why is he saying you are ati nichan ki neech? You are the meanest of the mean. Why? Are main to Brahma hu agar tu na hote beech. I am Brahman. That desire of things of the world which makes me forget my true original nature. Will you allow me to develop this idea a little further? Then I can come back to the subject. Because when I am at it, let me take it to its logical conclusion. This statement that the desire is a filter which does not allow me to experience that spiritual ecstasy which is my birthright. I'll give you a very concrete example you'll understand. Say, for instance, by way of example, I am desirous of an excellent automobile, a car, the best model that the country produces, and it costs me a packet. So I carry on with my endeavor. My desire to possess that car is getting hold of me, and without stealing, begging and borrowing, let us stop there, begging and borrowing and generating funds and etc., etc. After a long, long struggle and time, during that period, my desire to possess and own that car had consumed me totally. And ultimately, I managed to raise that fund. I hand over the check, sign papers, take the keys. And I am in cloud 9. My happiness cannot be compared. Good enough. Why is this happiness? Because I possess something which I have desired. Good enough. You have possessed it and you enjoy that ecstasy for some time. Wait till somebody bumps into your car. You are still the owner of the car. Your ownership is not in question. Why does your ecstasy disappear? Your ownership is there. If the ownership of the car was cause of ecstasy, you are still owning it. You have, dear, misinterpreted your psyche. What is that? Listen to me. That continuing desire to possess the object of your desire has consumed you so much that when that inordinate strong desire of possessing the car was satisfied, for the time being, dear, you were desireless. That ecstasy is your true original nature. Till something again disturbs you. You thought that whole volume of the car has brought that desire to you. Till such time, other desires raise their head, which were suppressed. you are in cloud 9. That is your true original nature. Sat Swarup, Chit Swarup, Ananda Swarup. Coming back to the subject now, the rishis, having reached the rational conclusion, they structured disciplined procedures, techniques, methodologies to build up your personality by managing the forces of nature that work within you in such a manner that you break the hold of desire of things of the world on you, and you reach your desired goal to manifest the potential divinity already within you. This, my dear friends, is the end-all and be-all of Vedantic conclusions. To rehabilitate yourself in your lost identity. I am the Brahman. I am the Atman. Though I appear to be in a human form, I have a name, I have a form, I have an identity, and I have a whole host of CVs and biodatas, BDs. That's how I identify myself. It rotates around my body and my faculties. I am beyond that. This is what is structured in the disciplines of spiritual life. Now, this being the conclusion of Vedanta, on the other hand, we find that the material scientists have also arrived at a unified theory. This whole cosmos, in its ultimate analysis, boils down to energy and energy alone. We are almost in handshaking distances. If he raises his hand, I put my, we will be shaken by our hands each other. What is that? The scientist, material scientist, knows he is separated from the knowledge that he has acquired. He says, I know. Through the multi-billion-dollar, I have proved that the smallest particle of matter is nothing else but essence of the universe, energy. But it is he, the eternal subject, is knowing the object, the essence of this world. That is, a difference remains there, and he needs a multi-billion-dollar laboratory to convince others. Whereas, what happens in a rishi, a knower of the soul? He grows in dimension. He slowly and slowly, through that structured meditative process, he breaks open his dimensions. He enlarges his denominations, and slowly his hold that I am a biological creature, I am worthy of so many faculties and qualities, I am with them. He breaks him away from all that, and he says, I am what I am. Pure existence, pure knowledge, pure bliss, Satchidananda Swarup. That is, he has converted himself into a laboratory. His psyche, his being, his personality is a working lab where he is experimenting with breaking open all the identities, all the denominations, that individuality goes. Now, dears, to expect that and to be worthy of repeating and retaining that is to be seen. I'll give you an example from Vivekananda and Ramakrishna. Vivekananda was not Vivekananda then. He was Narendranath, a student. The first thing he asked Sri Ramakrishna, to cut it short, have you seen God? Sri Ramakrishna says, yes, I have seen God. He could have stopped there. But Sri Ramakrishna says, I see him more intensely than I see you with my eyes. Thereby, Sri Ramakrishna is suggesting there is a method of acquiring experience without the help of your eyes. I see him more intensely than I see you with my eyes. That is, there is an avenue of knowledge which does not depend on your five sense organs. What is that avenue of knowledge? To slowly and slowly remove all the muck and dirt which has gathered around your awareness of I am. And you move out. All you need to do is to dress yourself up by breaking open the frontiers of misunderstanding of your own true original nature. And the end is the end of study of Vedanta. Now comes the question, it was found out, as it were, experienced, as it were, by a group of people at past history in a place. It is geographically, it has a point of origin. Practically, it was practiced by a group of people. What about its universality? Is it because we love it, that's why we are speaking so euphorically about it? No, dear. It is an universal concept. What is that universal concept? The universal concept is, let me quote an example given by Swami Vivekananda here in the States. He says, let us take a photograph of the sun from the surface of this earth. Let us take another photograph of the sun on the top of the Mount Everest. And in his time, space voyages were not there. Go to the troposphere, which is only 30-35 miles up. Take a picture of the sun from there. Bring back all the photographs. Compare them. No two photographs will be alike. But can you say they are the photograph of anything other than the sun? And the sun appears differently in the different photographs. Why? We will say because of the distance. Similarly, the capacity of a human to hold the absolute truth in its totality is very, very, very rare. All of us are born with a limited capacity. We can extend it by our efforts. One or two of us may be so blessed that we merge with the Absolute. Others will be aware of the Absolute, will be convinced about it, but an element of separation will remain. Another example from Sri Ramakrishna, I am told that if you walk towards the east, you will see the ocean. So I start walking. The ocean is seen. I keep on walking. This is tapasya for you. And then, one fine morning, I find a wonderful soothing breeze is energizing me. So I knew sea breeze comes into the midland. I am convinced I am nearing the sea, but it is not visible. But the sea is there. I am feeling the sea breeze. I walk further, maybe out of enthusiasm, I run quickly, And then I hear the roar of the breakers on the shore. Even then, the sea is not visible. Can you deny the existence of sea? You have felt by your skin the soothing breeze from the sea. You have now fortified that experience by hearing the roar of the breakers on the shore. You go further and you see the whole expanse of water up to the horizon. Even then it is not complete. When will it be complete? When you run to the shore, you touch it, you taste it. See, you have reached the sea. You want to measure the depth of the sea. You forget you are made of salt. More you enter, more you dissolve. There's no question of coming back again. You have become the sea, part and parcel of the sea. These are the various levels of awareness of the Absolute. The Vedanta teaches you that these various levels of awareness is because you want to experience like that. If I am sitting on a mold and see the expanse of the sea and I am satisfied, I stop there. That does not mean I have not known the sea. I may not have merged myself into the sea, but the awareness of the sea is very much there. So the world was waiting for such a person who will go through the whole gamut of spiritual discipline that human civilization and culture has developed through ages. And unfortunately, because of the limited understanding of we humans, as I am proud of myself and I say, I am holier than thou, I project saying, my religion is better than yours. It's an absolute human weakness because humans are still victim of their ego and their pride. So the world was waiting with abated breath. Could all this be proved concretely? Bring it down from the domain of imagination. Can it be proved concretely by one human in his lifetime? That was the demand of the present age, and that was why there had to be a divine incarnation, a divine descent, to meet the requirements of modern age. He had to come in 3 different forms. Sri Ramakrishna, in his lifetime, practiced the whole gamut of spiritual disciplines that was prevalent in human society as a whole. The first man in human civilization who in a short span of 12 years went through almost all important branches of religious practices. And the authority emanating from his experiencing the real through different avenues gave him this authority to proclaim to the world that all religions lead to the same goal, to bring in an harmony of religious thinking in our world which is full of disharmony. That is how we say that Vedanta does not mean that you'll have to leave your existing faith and do something otherwise. Be a Christian, be a Muslim, be a Hindu of multiple denominations, be a Buddha. We are not bothered. But remember, the goal of life is Atyantika Dukkha Nibritti Paramasukha Prapti, an universal concept of emancipation, liberation, salvation, moksha, mukti. What is that universal definition? Atyantik dukkhasya nivritti. Dukkhasya atyantik nivritti. What does it mean? That you raise yourself, your level of awareness, intellectually being convinced, that rock solid intellectual conviction becomes your motivation. Going through that structured discipline, you will be aware of your own true original nature, shed all inhibitions and obsessions, denominations and boundaries. You are one with God. So, universality here means Vedanta is not a sect, dear. Vedanta is an attitude to life. Let live and let me live. Let us live together hand in hand. This is what Vedanta means. And that is why Swami Vivekananda, in this land of yours, said, if you think I have come to convert you a Hindu, you are wrong. If you think I have come to convert the Christians into a Hindu, you are wrong. I have come to preach you a religion, which is a religion of man, which will make a Hindu a better Hindu, a Muslim a better Muslim, a Christian a better Christian. I have come to preach the religion of man. That is oneness of the whole cosmos. Thank you, my dears.